Sanctuary is the world in which the story of Diablo takes place, and it's the battleground for the souls of humanity and the fight between angels and demons.
Sanctuary is a vast world, and there'll always be something new in every area, like hordes of enemies, safe haven towns, resources to gather, events, quests, and more.
Okay.
We wanted to bring Diablo 4 artistically more back towards like Diablo 2, the much darker style.
Yeah.
It's very macabre.
The artists and designers have had so much fun working on it, and it's just been a joy to create for us.
Oh, man.
How would the people of Sanctuary show their world? What kinds of art would they use to describe
It
the
looks
world?
so
One of the things we really
good,
wanted
man.
to do
Oh,
was
fuck.
make the game feel like a painting.
Everything was built by a wonderful group of people.
Oh,
who
I
love
like
Diablo
that
as much
direction.
as you do.
To make the game feel like a
We have
painting.
5 unique zones.
Each of the regions has its own kind of flavor and ambient life.
We take a lot of influence from what our concept artists give us, and I know they take a lot of influence from real life.
There's Kyrgyzstan, which is the sort of desert.
It's amazing with its sweeping sand dunes.
Skazglen, which is inspired by Scotland. Fractured Peaks is inspired by the Carpathian Mountains.
Oh.
Dry Steppes is sort of our mountainous desert region, and Hawazar is the swampy region of the south. Whether you're on a mount or on foot, it's a joy to go from one region to the next. Also, the region transitions are really beautiful and stunning to see.
Making sure that it felt sort of geologically true was really important. If you walk from Fractured Peaks into Hawazar, you'll cross all of these waterfalls caused by snowmelt. So you
Bro,
can actually
this is such a simple detail, but the fact that the path has a water buildup on it, because that's what happened, right? When you walk into a path over and over and over again, it caves in a little bit and it gives this like crevice a little bit, and that will fill in with water. But I feel like that's not a detail that you see very often. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's graphically not something you see. Look at, oh my God, it looks so good. It looks so good. Look at just this frame here. It looks like,
Also,
I don't
the
know, man.
region
I love it.
transitions are really beautiful and stunning to see.
making sure that it felt sort of geologically true was really important. If you walk from Fractured Peaks into Hawazar, you'll cross all of these waterfalls caused by snowmelt. So you can actually see the snow melting in Fractured Peaks through waterfalls, entering into Hawazar and entering the large basin.
Oh,
that fills
wow.
Hawazar with all of
Really?
the swamp water.
We had all the different environments in the overworld, and we tried to make sure there was some parity with those in the dungeons. We have dungeons that are flooded, and there's like moss everywhere. It very much fits in with that Skazglen environment. Kyrgyzstan is all desert, so we have dungeons filled
wait,
with sand.
that was
It very much fits in with
such a large ability. Look at this flail. It's literally hitting the entire fucking screen.
Skazglen environment.
Look at the second one. I'm sorry, Chad. There's gonna be a lot of analyzing little. We only have 7 minutes, so I'm gonna savor every second of it. Okay, I'm gonna squeeze. Oh my goodness.
Kyrgyzstan is all desert, so we have dungeons filled with sand. All the dungeons are particularly placed to make sure that they feel like this is a thing that could be in this part of the world. It fits here, it belongs here.
Monsters.
We definitely redesigned some of the monsters. For example, the Fallen family has gone through a major redesign to make them feel more grim, a little scarier, a little darker, to match the tone of Diablo 4.
Monster
Nice.
families are a way to describe the group of monsters that create a combat experience. So a lot of times there'll be brutes and swarmers, melee or casters, and that's the term that we use to sum up the vampires or the drowned or the undead.
Oh
And
my
all of them have
goodness.
unique abilities, but they all synchronize together. They bolster each other and improve how they work on the battlefield so that every time you fight a pack of, let's say, goatmen, it's always different.
We wanted to make sure that the monster families all felt like they fit in their environments, and so our creature team did a really good job of making these different versions of them that have adapted to their environment. There's
Oh,
snowy
that's
goatmen
interesting.
and fractured peaks and some of the colder areas versus lightning
Bro,
goatmen around dry steppes and kind of
they look so good. The level of detail going into these creatures is crazy.
the more arid areas. Hawazar has a lot of poison spiders.
Each of the regions has its own kind of flavor, and it's pretty exciting to discover.
We have some really cool new snake men, the Nangari. We've seen snake men in Diablo before, but these guys are just really twisted amalgamations of multiple snake heads, even human body parts. We have skeletons, we have undead, we have ghosts. All of
That's
these
a new world boss. I don't think we've ever seen this one. Dude, look at the ice. Why am I too easily impressed, or does it really look gorgeous? I feel like it's just because I don't think we've ever had like an ARPG or a top-down view game that has looked this fucking beautiful. Like, it just looks great. Even in a top-down view, it gives me the sense as if I was playing like a full massive action game, but somebody just took the camera away and like lifted it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'm wondering if I'm like either fanboying or if I'm just like too easily impressed or whatever, but like, God fucking damn it. I think this looks gorgeous, but it's not like just the graphical detail. It's just like the color and like everything blending in. And I don't know, dude. It's like,
We have undead, we have ghosts, all the things that you would expect to find from a Diablo game.
Spiders have been around in Diablo forever, but the spider host was a cool new twist.
It's a giant spider that attaches to a corpse and then puppets it at you. And when you kill it, it explodes with tons of baby spiders.
Ew, not
and then
baby
those little
spiders.
Come after you.
Burn
and
the
I feel
game.
Slightly guilty about traumatizing a lot of people with it.
We also have wildlife, deer, snakes, bugs, dogs. You can pet the dogs, by the way.
So many people ask to pet the dog.
10 out of 10 game chat. You can pet the dogs. Okay, this is Game of the Year feature right here.
It was actually a lot of hard work to figure out how to pet that dang dog. You have so many activities that you might run into. It could be a stronghold, it could be side quests. You might have key dungeons to do. There could be bounties to pick up. You might encounter a world boss. You might encounter an invasion event of some kind.
We have much longer, sort of narrative-heavy side quests, and we have some shorter side quests, so you never feel like you're always doing the same thing. The pacing is always a little bit different.
Nice.
One of the things that I really loved about our
Talk to me
announcement
about
was
your
the Like
pacing,
They
dude.
Come cinematic. I was able to build a quest where you actually get to go to those places. You get to go to the town. You get to go inside the chapel. And I work with some incredible dungeon designers to build the dungeon from the cinematic. You're gonna get to go across the bridge that you saw to the actual room where Lilith was summoned. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm super excited to have players see it.
So somebody said the only thing that matters is the end game. I agree and I also disagree with this because that's obviously going to be the part that you're going to be spending the most time onto. Okay, you're going to be spending a lot of time onto the end game. But that first time you're going to spend playing the actual game is one of those memories that's going to stay with you for so long. Right? I remember my first playthrough of Diablo 2. Like, I remember going through all of these zones and exploring things and feeling lost and almost like scared and like sure, that's not going to be like a large part of your playtime. You're going to play the story for a couple of hours and then you're going to end up grinding endgame and doing seasons for years and years and years to come, hopefully. And sure, I agree with you. The long term, the endgame is what's going to be if the game is successful. But on another level, there's like a part of me that has been playing a lot of variety game lately, and I'm hoping that my first playthrough is just gonna be awesome. Like, I'm hoping that the story's actually good. I'm hoping that I get immersed into those things and I just forget about the end game, you know, for a minute, because I'm not gonna rush to the end game, right? I mean, normally that's what I would do in most games, but I'm gonna just definitely not necessarily like overly taking my time, but I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna enjoy every piece of content it is gonna offer me. And then, because after that, every season you're gonna rush it, right? So might as well soak in the first experience, you know, have a good time and enjoy it. And then, you know, every other seasons afterward, you just rush through it anyway and you fucking get to the end game and have fun, right?
Sometimes it's kind of nice to just walk places, because that's a lot of the times when you see these little events.
You might find a demonic altar that you need to feed your blood to summon demons to then defeat for all of their loot. You might find a ghost child who's trying to find the remains of their parents, and you have to protect them. We have strongholds, which are a sort of large area that you can enter, and it has its own story, its own setup, its own sort of art that sort of tells a very specific story about this location, and those stay unlocked permanently once you've beaten back the darkness.
We did a lot of figuring out the
Nice.
balance between like how much space do we need for players to play through these dungeons versus how much space do we need to make them look cool. My favorite is this one called Endless Gates. It's got these teleporters, and these teleporters actually take you to other dungeons. So you'll end up in a cave, a crypt, or one of the ancients. And every time you go in, it's designed to change.
And there's dozens of villages and
So
towns.
some kind
that
of
you'll run
rift, I
into.
guess.
The cities and towns are designed to be hubs. They're havens. They're places where you can find other players. They're good places to do all of your usual inventory management.
Each region has its main city that you can get lots of side quests and lots of activities.
We've really crafted the world to feel like there's always something just around the corner to find.
Bro.
In Diablo 4, you actually get to walk Sanctuary.
It's a massive place that you can seamlessly explore with no loading in between zones, which is something brand new.
Oh.
It's a very immersive experience.
What I love about it is that you can go in a direction and you might be searching for a particular quest or an item, and you'll come across a stronghold that you haven't explored before. You'll come across dungeons that have legendary affixes, or you might discover a side quest that you didn't even know about that fills in some bit of lore that you actually were interested in. There's any number of things that can happen along the road to your destination, and that's what I love about having this fast-paced.
There are tons of different types of events in the world. It's been created to feel full of things to encounter, full of secrets to discover, full of characters to interact with, full of stories to find. We have these altars to Lilith that if you can find them, they will give you a permanent buff to all of your characters across the game. There are tons of them hidden everywhere.
That's going to be cool.
We also have these massive world bosses that are so big the camera actually has to pull out even further. And you're going to have an opportunity to fight these bosses with your friends or with strangers to take down these huge world bosses.
And the team has done just an incredible job making Sanctuary a world worth exploring and a world worth investing yourself in.
Oh my goodness. How do you feel about big CDs like Berserk 1 minute CD? People get used to PoE now, and there's almost no CD. So, personally, I'm probably going to get stones thrown at me for saying this, but I think a lot of the fun in PoE for me doesn't come from the combat. It really doesn't. Because the combat is usually, you get a sense of satisfaction of like melting monster and getting the loot to drop and all that stuff, but the combat isn't necessarily super interesting to me. I like it when there's a little bit more CD and there's a little bit of decision making. Okay, do I want to use this CD for this pack, or do I need to keep it for the next pack, or for the boss, or for the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of like that decision making because it doesn't prevent the other play style. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, you could have a big cooldown, or you could have like very spammy ability. You get to decide that, and that's pretty cool. It all depends on how they balance it, right? Because if you look at Diablo 3 right now, for example, there's a lot of build that resolves around big CD and cooldown reduction, right? So a lot of Necro build are currently like based on like Land of the Dead, for example, where you get this massive like 2-3 minute CD and then it clears the entire screen, but then every time you kill something or crit or do whatever, it reduces the cooldown, and then you just spam it and you just melt the screen. That's a little bit like the extreme. I think that's where like they kind of lost control over how the game plays, and they kind of just embraced it. Like I think control was lost, and those cooldown completely lost their meaning. But at some point it was still being fun, so they just embraced it and they made it kind of ridiculous. And now like Diablo is like kind of crazy a little bit. Like cooldowns don't really mean cooldown, because you can build there's so many pieces and things that reduce cooldown and multiplicative damage that you can just add up nonstop, and it just get these crazy build. So I'm happy that we're actually resetting, right? Because Diablo 4 seems a lot slower. Diablo 4 feels a lot slower at the start, and I hope it gives them room to give us gear and upgrade over time and good stuff. To feel like when you're leveling, it's super slow, because that's how Diablo 2 felt, right? You would start Diablo, and it was like super slow, right? You would just hit an enemy. It was just like, ugh, you know, like it took you like quite a while to just get that hit in, but it felt like you hit something. I mean, maybe not in Diablo 2, because the graphic and the gameplay wasn't necessarily like the most, you know, snappy, because it was pretty old. But if you apply that concept of like having like methodical kind of combat a little bit more, and then you apply it to a game that has a really, really good ARPG engine, it's probably going to feel really, really good. I can't comment on it. I haven't played the game, but we're going to be playing early access March 17, 19, and then we're going to play 24, 26. We're going to do 2 Hellathon, that I want to call them. So we're going to be pretty much streaming those 2 weekends nonstop and discovering the world of Diablo 4 together. We're going to be playing a lot of Necromancer, and if I'm probably just going to blast Necromancer, honestly. Probably going to do some content around it. And we're going to experience everything there is about that class. If I kind of do everything that I can do on Necro, then we're going to swap over to maybe Druid. And then we're going to keep figuring out some stuff. So that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much my thought on it. I would say. I like when the combat feels a little bit more methodical, when you actually, like, for example, right? It's going to be maybe a bad example, but like Dark and Darker. A lot of people look at the gameplay of Dark and Darker and they think it's clunky a little bit. But I find that there's a nice thing to it, that it's super methodical, right? Like every hit that you do has to be well calculated. Obviously, it doesn't apply to Diablo at all, but it's just an example of a little bit slower pace, methodical gameplay that's not as spammy, where the ability that you press actually matter and when you press it, and like think about the cooldown. It can get like really, really fun, right? And something that I hope it's going to be done well. I'm excited. I really, really, truly am. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, that was cool. Really cool video. Really cool video. Do we know anything about trade? I don't think we have a lot of information about trading. We're gonna have to look a little bit more into it. I think there is things that you can trade, but not everything. Or I think things might have they can be traded like a limited amount of time, I believe. I think they gave us some information a while back, but I don't know if it's been investigated or reported on much more, or if they even have an idea as to exactly what they're trying to do with trading. I hope there is, because that's been like almost one of the biggest part about Diablo 4 for me. That Diablo 2 was the trading, right? It was kind of cool. It was really, really cool. Yeah, they're probably going to be dropping a lot of information coming up. Probably going to be dropping a lot of information. I know some people hate on Diablo 3 and the lack of trading, but look how corrupted Diablo 2 ladder is. Race to 99 on a new ladder is just be a streamer and get fed gear. Yeah, but I think that's why you could. I mean, like, look at PoE. Is that what a lot of people like? Okay, so either you trade it into a massive trading fest, and then people have to set their own limit as to, okay, trading makes the game too easy and lackluster, so I'm gonna do a solo self-found, which is really, really fun, right? Because you bring back that challenge, right? So trading does make it easy for a lot of people, right? If you're really, really good at trading, or if you're a well-known person or content creator or whatever, it does make the game easier. But I guess that's on you if you want to ruin the game and ruin that experience. But obviously, if there's a ladder system, then it gets problematic, and you know, it is what it is. I don't think we should make decision on a game based on content creator. I don't think we should remove trading because some content creator gets to have shit traded to them. But there's maybe a way to make it so that certain items can be traded like 1 or 2 times or whatever, so that if you play with people, you can trade with them. If you want to build, like, I don't know. I don't know what's the solution to trading, because there's obviously a lot of things that hurt the game from trading, especially when it comes to real money. Because as soon as you start trading, you open the gate for real money, right? You open the gate for people abusing it and buying gear. As soon as you allow trading, you open that gate. So how do you make it not like that, right? So I guess we'll see. We'll see what they do. But even whether there's trading or not, I'm just excited about the game. It looks like a good game. And I've been craving a good ARPG for so long now. And I feel like nothing has been able to give me what I want. So I'm really, really hoping. I'm really, 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 really hoping that we're going to get that with Diablo 4. So far, it looks really, really good. So far, it looks really, really good. And we're going to be playing a lot of Necromancer. So if you're into that class, we're going to be covering that a lot in here. Probably a little bit of Druid. Honestly, I'll probably end up playing everything. I'm going to play D4 so much that I'm going to have to multi-class probably, because I'm going to have so much things to do. Or maybe not. Who fucking knows? Maybe that's not even going to be true. Because maybe the seasons are going to have so much content and so much packed in things that maybe I'll just focus on Necromancer. That could be a thing. I don't know. We'll see. Cool. So that was the little Diablo 4 segment. Hopefully that was cool. Hopefully that was fun. That was really, really nice.